The stage is set for yet another showdown between the government and religious leaders over proposed bills that seeks to regulate the sector. The bill, to be tabled by Kangema Member of Parliament Muturi Kigano, wants religious leaders to be professionally trained, amongst other requirements, in order to root out those who prey on their flock. The move comes as the Office of the Attorney General is also preparing a new set of regulations with the same aim, as Brenda Wanga reports.
The Kangema MP says his bill is driven by the need to shield the public from unscrupulous religious leaders.
A situation where we can control the proliferation of dinis, panda begu, I think that is what they are called.
Aside from reining in this cadre of religious operatives, the bill will also set out to ensure that those on the pulpit are not there to enrich themselves at the expense of their flock. It further wants the religious leaders to meet minimum qualifications before being allowed to minister to their congregations.
Kenyans are very vulnerable in matters godly.
I do support it, but it should be done within the principles of the clergy supporting the clergy, because politicians don't know what is acceptable and what is not when it comes to running the church.
The bill, not very far removed from a set of now suspended regulations that were introduced in 2016 through the Office of the Attorney General. The Religious Society's rules at the time had proposed that all pastors undertake theological studies from accredited institutions before being allowed to register religious outfits. Religious leaders would also be required to get certificates of good conduct. Then, like now, the proposals ran into strong opposition from religious sectors.
We don't want a situation where the government itself is trying to regulate the church. It is going to bring uncalled for war. It is going to bring animosity between the government and the church.
Then, like now, the proposals ran into strong opposition from the religious sector. A section of the Pentecostal Churches organization is already up in arms before the bill even gets to the floor of the House. They insist that the government must consult widely with the religious leaders before moving to regulate this sector.
Half of the pastors and preachers in this country were criminals. Some were even jailbirds. They got saved in prison and they came out to preach the gospel.
Let us propose and talk about those changes with the church or the religious leaders on the table. Let us not try to pontificate in this context and try and make rules without listening to them. This is absolutely essential.
The religious leaders further want the government to allow them their own act of parliament that would enable them to self-regulate.
Politicians cannot regulate the church. It's only the clergy who can regulate themselves.
So that the religious organizations can have their own registry, their own registrar, where they are going to be making returns. Instead of pastors and bishops going to line up in the same lineup with cooperative societies for fish, for sad, for makaa, for kila kitu, we want a registry with a registrar to deal with religious matters only.
The proposed bill by the Kangema MP will be tabled in Parliament soon. Brenda Wanga, NTV.